I read Daredevil 234. This is the issue with the less than desirable fortune of being the one straight after the Born Again story arc. It is following the best Daredevil story ever told and one of the best comic book stories of all time. And now we have a fill-in issue by Marky Mark J and Steve Ditman starring Anarchy, a goofy villain from Captain America. The artwork by Steve Ditman is inked by Klaus Voorhees, and I was not looking forward to that combo, and then found myself pleasantly surprised. Klaus Voorhees, as an inker, tends to overwhelm the pencils. And then Steve Ditman is an artist who by this point needed an inker that understood how to do Steve Ditman's looser style justice. I still maintain that Craig Russell on Ron Spaceman was a wonderful match for Ditman, at least on those pages where it seemed like he had the most time working on. Some of the others, there's a big group splash page. I don't think Craig Russell had enough time to work on that. It looks like there's very little inking on the page even. And they chose to run that as a house as. We have Anarchy, and he is interfering in a gun smuggling operation. And every time Steve Ditman draws his masked face, every single time, it is artistic gold. It looks great. I would never have thought it before, but Anarchy is a fairly Steve Ditman character. It's not too different from a more intense version of Creeper. He goes around spreading chaos. Anarchy, he is immune to pain, and he heals from any wounds. He also has hypnotic eyes, which he uses to inspire and spread that chaos mentioned before. Time to explain Anarchy for you. He was created by Marky Mark J and Paul Neely and debuted in Captain America 307. Something else I only now thought on was not just the Steve Ditman influence on Anarchy, but there's also some heavy Steve Gerbil style backstory to the character. Anarchy was a religious man. He was a good-natured person. He was basically early seasons Ned Flanders. And then one day, the rest of his family died in a church bus crash. His parents, his sister, they all died. Anarchy survived because they crashed into an AIM vehicle carrying experimental science, which gave him his healing powers and his hypnotism powers. In response to the tragedy and losing everyone he cared about, Anarchy snapped and developed a philosophy that life is meaningless and everything is a big joke. I have avoided calling him a Captain America villain. Rewind and double check if you don't believe me. I said he was from Captain America because he never actually has met Captain America. His first story put him against no man, and then much later on down the line, his other appearance in the series, he is only in a subplot featuring the sidekicks, Jackson Flag and Free Speech. He never came face to face with Captain America in Marky Mark G's run on Captain America. After this confrontation with the Gunrunners, Anarchy is approached by Dollar Bill. I did the equivalent of an internal cheer when he showed up. I had just been thinking about Anarchy's similarities to Steve Dittman and Steve Gerbil, and then a Defender supporting character randomly shows up. Dollar Bill is intrigued by Anarchy and mistakes him for a new superhero, and Dollar Bill wants to follow him around and film him for his public access show. Dollar Bill isn't a Steve Dittman or Steve Gerbil character. He was created by Anthony Davis and Kevin Griffin, two more creators that Anarchy feels inspired by. Dollar Bill was a film student that Velcro befriended at college. He was a Richard Rory after Richard Rory. He occasionally would accompany and more often inconvenience the Defenders. He was filming them a lot. And the thing most people know about Dollar Bill is when he made a Defenders documentary that caused nothing but headaches for the team. Something else he had a knack for was accidentally ending up helping or enabling more villainous vigilantes like the original Lobo. Another one we could compare to Anarchy till the cows come home. And also Killer Fool, who he led right into the Defenders' base thinking he was a good guy. Then we get to Daredevil, the star of the issue. He's definitely the thing that grabbed me the least here. Although I did find Marky Mark G's writing of him on this page to be interesting, it felt a bit different for him. Daredevil thrives more on internal monologue and internal prose than Captain America or Kaiser. Daredevil comes to the scene of Anarchy's mayhem and manages to learn the necessary information about Anarchy to look into him. Then we have a surprise appearance by the Peony. It was his smuggling that Anarchy was spoiling, and so he puts out a hit on Anarchy. And I don't know how to really go about this without sounding like I am getting a thrill from just seeing random continuity brought together. But part of that is I am. I love Marky Mark G's Captain America. Seeing Anarchy is great. I love Defenders. Dollar Bill is always fun. And then the Peony is a Spider-Man villain. And moreover, this is before they fucked his identity up. And I like seeing him here. Actually, I always liked the Peony. In fact, as a Spider-Man villain, and definitely after they revealed who he was, I found it very annoying that the Peony had almost no relevance to Daredevil series or Daredevil's world. He was revealed as Kingpin Man's son, the son of Daredevil's arch nemesis, and he never really mattered one bit to any Daredevil story ever. Hands up down below if you want me to look at the Peony's first appearance. I have that one, and I have the reprint as well. I think this might be the Peony's only appearance in Daredevil. Daredevil investigates Anarchy. It turns out he had escaped from the mental hospital he was sent to after No Man defeated him. A very Steve Dittman panel, top right, with his radar sense. That is classic Dittman. I can't help but feel that Daredevil might have had more success at getting information from the staff about a patient had he approached in his civilian identity as blind attorney Matlock. Although coming straight after Born Again, he is not a practicing lawyer anymore. But I don't think that the mental hospital that managed to lose one of their patients is going to be able to work that one out. So here we have Dollar Bill interview Anarchy on the air. This is great. Anarchy espouses his avant-garde philosophies as Dollar Bill tries and fails to guide and control this interview. This is a great combo. This is cleverly finding two pieces of continuity that fit together perfectly. When trying to track down Anarchy, Daredevil learns of the hit that the Peony put on Anarchy. And Anarchy starts strutting his stuff down the street and attracting all sorts of mob attention. A guy tries to run him over with a taxi to claim the reward for killing him. But obviously, Anarchy is okay, and we start playing it for laughs a bit. This one mob guy keeps phoning up an unseen mobster called Guido and saying, "Hey, that guy's still alive." Dollar Bill finally name drops the defenders on this page. I was waiting patiently for that. Now, Anarchy gets approached by a group of gangsters wanting to whack him off. Daredevil shows up, but he is too late. Those mobsters have already abducted Anarchy. And now feels the time to talk about the worst thing that might be festering in your mind. Anarchy is a bit like dead pills. They share the healing power, and they're both very talkative nonsense merchants. Sadly, I have to explain this. In 2008, a special needs boy relaunched Dead Pills because he was the editor-in-chief's friend from college. This was the biggest push Dead Pills had gotten up until that point. They were determined to make Dead Pills a big thing. One of the new ideas, and I thought it was horrible from the word go, Dead Pills has two voices in his head. You have two internal voices arguing in the caption boxes. It was annoying. And they explained this later. One day, Thor struck Dead Pills and Anarchy with lightning, and they were both reduced to ash. Dead Pills then healed and regenerated, but he had mixed with Anarchy, and Anarchy was that second voice in his head. Fuck comics so much. They are awful. In this issue, whenever Anarchy is unmasked, he looks a lot like Speedy Pals. There is an idea for whatever horrible writer did that Dead Pills fusion shit. What if Speedy Pals and Anarchy are one and the same? Think Tyler Durden. And then you have Spiky Pals as evidence that Speedy Pals has always had mental issues. One day, someone is going to do one of these deliberately bad ideas I suggest, and the sense of guilt I will feel is going to be horrible. Daredevil action, a lot of Daredevil action by Steve Ditman, and we have this rather dark ending. I was taken by surprise. They try to burn down the building that Daredevil and Anarchy are in. And Daredevil, well, he can only carry Anarchy or the goon who he just knocked out. Daredevil knows that Anarchy could heal, but Daredevil frees him and expects him to try and save himself while he carries the thug. But Anarchy stays behind, laughing and singing as he burns. It would appear he burned to death. He is pronounced dead. But then, in an epilogue, he shows up healed at Dollar Bill's door. You know what, though? That is, I believe, a wrap for Dollar Bill. I don't think he ever appears again. This is his final appearance in a story, I think. He did have an Andy book profile in 2011. That was, as far as I know, the only Dollar Bill thing since this issue. I don't know though, maybe he has been in 100 billion comics in the last 13 years when I haven't been reading them. This was a fill-in issue that I enjoyed a lot about. There are some bad fill-in issues, but every once in a while you have one like this where it is on the surface, you would think it was another of those fill-ins that you should skip. But then you read it and it's actually got a good little story. Maybe not the best Daredevil story, sure. But if you've read Captain America, if you've read Defenders, if you have a taste in comics and a fondness for all the same things as me, this one checks a lot of boxes. I do think its position as the issue that is directly after Born Again is not fair. If someone was reading Daredevil, to go from that to this, you're only going to view this through the lens that it is not comparable in any way to the heights of Give Me a Red. I won't give it a red, but I'll give it a proper well-earned 7 thumbs up.